Rant time!
They took a look at these historical armors, this really cool, epic stuff from ancient time, from Bronze Age, and they just said, no, let's do the basic Hollywood aesthetic, punk, black vibe, of course. And really, I expected more from Christopher Nolan. What did he do? If this was Zack Snyder, I would be like, yeah, Zack, I don't care. Maybe it will look cool. But Christopher Nolan, the guy who doesn't want to do CGI and prefers practical effects, doesn't care about historical accuracy, and just does whatever. The first thing that they could find at the Hollywood costume room, whatever. I mean, it's like if Ridley Scott dressed Napoleon in today's army uniform. Not that it would have made it worse than it already was though, so... Never mind. Why does Hollywood continue to push this idea of washed out, grey, black, no color fucking armors in every historical era film from the ancient times to the end of the medieval times and maybe even modern times? No one really wants it. I don't think anyone asked for it. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, like, what? Producers just sat down in their caves and concocted this formula that every historical show or film should be devoid of color? Wrong. Really, really wrong. Firstly, just briefly, I'm gonna focus on the historical part because this is a story about a Bronze Age king after the Siege of Troy goes on the Odyssey. And he's not wearing any bronze, really. I don't know, he's wearing leather. And like, really, it just looks boring. It's uninspired. It's not creative, is it? And there's this image going around about how it wouldn't work if it was historically accurate. But really, it's just a purposefully built, goofy representation. It's purposefully goofy. Thankfully, there are some really talented artists that provided us with images of how it could have looked. And this really does look good. And it's full of color. And it's as historically accurate as it can be while still keeping that cinematic touch. Why would you want this basic armor when you could have this and it would have been historically accurate? But because some people are bored of us ranting about historical accuracy, let's just talk about color and the lack of it. I mean, where is color nowadays? Everything's devoid of color and it's bringing us all down mentally. And they continue to do it in film. But it's really boring. And it's not going to bring them money, really. I mean, just because it's Christopher Nolan, it is gonna bring money and the film is probably gonna be excellent. But I'm just gonna focus on how color can really, really work in the artist's favor. Because once upon a time, we had color. And it really, really looked good and it worked. I'm just gonna mention a little known film called Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. And in this film, you see, there is color. Throughout the whole series, there's this underlying yellow tint, and it really gives the film an epic feel of hopefulness, of victory against evil. And apart from that, let's look at this scene. The charge of Rohirrim, where a bunch of Rohan cavalry is preparing to launch an attack. And what we can see is that everyone is in color. Armors are embedded with gold. And everyone is wearing green capes. And it looks amazing. And man leading them, their king Theoden, is wearing red under his golden armor. And the whole scene just looks beautiful. And it really works. And it made them money. And this is one of the greatest films of all time. So there's really no reason to suck out all the color out of armors and film. Because as we know, it works. And if I'm speaking from a non-historical standpoint, I want color in my movies. Because without color and not only without color that it looks boring, but every single film looks the same. They all lack color, everything is the same, everything is unoriginal, uncreative, uninspired, and really, it's time to change that.